Good morning. Welcome to the Nostrocker Morning Review. I am Nostrocker. It is the morning. We are going to review. I just had a heck of a game. It was a heck of a game, and it has got me feeling a little bit flustered. This StarCraft music is too loud. We're gonna pump that way down. Okay. I had a little bit of a plan of what we were going to talk about, but we're going to talk about that game right now because it is absorbing my mind. Okay. Well, there's a bit of background for the game. I played a ZVZ. I tried a build that I didn't really have a direction with it. I was just trying something new, which is this like speedling super fast expand thing, which kind of makes sense probably against some races, but I kind of forgot the big rule of ZVZ. You kind of just want to attack first. I think that's a rule. It's a rule to me. So I tried to do this big expansion build. I went in and the guy killed me. And he killed me with the build that I normally would have done in ZVZ. Like I was actually practicing a specific build for ZVZ, which is this 3-base Roach Ravager timing like 7:15, 7:30. And he did it to me and annihilated me, and it sucked. So I went and practiced that build a whole bunch and got it down okay. Played a game, got a Zerg first time, cool, and it worked. It totally worked, and it was beautiful. And then I played another game, and it was a random player, and then it fell apart. And okay, so first off, I screwed up the wall. Huge. I lost like a whole mineral line of workers, which sucked. And then I tried to recover the build. Now there's a question here of like, how do you respond to something that crippling? Because the value of that build is in hitting with superior upgrades in army at a specific time. And that is no longer possible if you lose half of your workers. So I may have to make maybe let's have a little note here. What the fuck when shit goes wrong? Okay. Anyway, I tried to continue with the build. The guy also was doing a Roach Ravager start though, and in looking at the replay, it seems like from that moment on, I was definitely on the back foot, which goes back to what I had said earlier about you want to attack first. It's fucking links, man. So I screwed up the wall thing. Actually, the wall was okay, but I didn't put the queen in the right position. She was a little bit too far out, and she wasn't holding. So she just got walked right by, and the Lings came and killed the whole mineral line, and then they left, and yeah. Anyway, the game continued on. There was some good back and forths, I think, but I made another critical error. So many critical errors. I made another critical error when I went in and attacked, and I killed a bunch of his stuff, which was cool, but I ultimately lost the army that I was going in with. And I was thinking that it was a successful attack because I think I took out 2 expansions and I took out his layer. But he had 2 layers, which is rude. And I took out like a bunch of production, like I had his Roach Warren, his spawning pool. And so I thought like, okay, this is good. He's got to deal with that. So I'm going to make some more production, more workers, drone up. But I didn't consider that he still had a bunch of armies. So he went in and he took out 2 of my bases with that army, which pretty much knocked us back down to even, except that he still had an army. So then he just built up army and killed me. And actually, this is another thing that I just realized. After I took out his spawning pool and his Roach Warren and everything, he rebuilt those, I guess. But he also made a spire, which is a good idea. He still had a layer. And so he needed to make stuff to make units anyway. So he made a spire and he made a hive, and then he made a greater spire. And then while I was busy trying to make up an army after rebuilding my economy, he had already made an army, and his army involved Brood Lords. And I was thinking, we gotta get some more tech. So I was going to go Ultralisks, which was probably... I think the meta here was that he had a ground army, so my logical response would be to deal with the ground army. So I should have maybe gone with air because it might have been safer, right? Because I feel like people do this a lot. They'll do one attack, and then for the follow-up, they'll switch to like air or switch from air to ground, just so that if you are responding to that specific thing, you're not going to be ready. Maybe that's the thing to do. Maybe it's not. It seems like it though, because that caught me off guard. So here I was thinking I have an economic advantage, and he's got a big ground army, so I'm going to use this advantage to make ultralisks and rip them apart. Turned out my economic advantage was very small, and my army disadvantage was even bigger. And then he just made some pretty clever calls to deal with me. God, yeah, it was a bother. It's really gotten me worked up. But like, kind of in a good way, you know? It was a good game. It wasn't like getting mad because you get like bunker rushed like 5 times in a row. It's like, this is frustrating because I can see all of the places where I responded incorrectly. And I can see why I did. Like, something made sense to me. But it's okay. I mean, that's it, right? That's how you figure this out. You do something, doesn't work. Do it better. Do it better next time. Okay. So that's the review of the last 20 minutes. As for the last 24 hours, there was a bit of fun stuff. The ladder is just, I guess we've covered that pretty much. I got a new graphic today. It's a good one. You just find it. Browntown versus everybody. We played some games with some friends, one of whom had never played StarCraft before. We got her in, got her trying out some stuff. It was pretty cool. It's cool to see how quickly people figure stuff out. Like the first game, she's like, okay, I need to build the thing that lets you build people. What's that called? It's Pylon. Okay, build a Pylon. And then we played a couple of games against like some friends, and like by the end, she's got army and tech, like making a bunch of colossi and stuff. It's pretty cool. Anyway, as we had a bunch of different varying skill levels, we decided to play against Browntown, Master Browntown. And it was actually like kind of close. We had a 3v2, a person who never played before in Browntown, versus like a silver and a gold and a plat, I guess. And fucking mutas, man. The guy just runs around with mutas, and like they're so effective, especially in that early part of the game when that much mobility, just going into like mineral lines, going in, just attacking little armies, just finding any little weakness. It's so huge. And I guess, you know, being at that level, you also are maintaining your bases, like your economy, teching up, injecting all this stuff that I would obviously forget if I was trying to micro mutas. So the game went on for like quite a while. Like I think it was, I don't know exactly, but I'm going to guess probably like 15, 18 minute game. Which is like a long time to survive against 3 other people. There was also his teammate, but I don't think that she ever managed to get any army out of the base. But it's pretty wild. And then we played another one, and there was an interesting moment because I know what he kind of tends to do, right? It's going to be some Ling harassment right away, and then there's going to be some mutas, and then I'll probably be dead. So I figured he's going to do that. And this was just a 3v1 now. And he did that. And I managed to hold off the first thing. But then he, when I went in to counter, he just already had the same army again, like a bunch more Lings in there. And the bases were just as good as mine or better. So it's just, I guess this all comes down to like efficiency, right? Efficiency both of economy, of timing, and of trading, knowing how to use your units and get the most out of them. If you can just get a little bit of an advantage in every trade, then you will always be ahead. And that's a sense when like there's nothing you can do. It's just people squeezing like every little bit out of that everything, out of that unit, out of that time of the game, out of that upgrade. Fuck, so much to learn. So the training plan, the focus. So the focus before was like just play some games and find a plateau. Given that I played that game and found that immediate sort of build issue, I think, well, not necessarily a plateau yet, I do think that focusing on working on multiple builds and getting them internalized is good. I think I kind of got a little bit lucky at the end of Gold where I wasn't really doing super specific builds. I was kind of just doing my general, like, make a bunch of Hydras and kill them thing, which, I mean, it works pretty well, but one of the problems isn't even that works. It's just that I'm not training in other things, and I'm going to need to be able to like automatically process the situation and make a very specific decision and call. So the training focus for now is going to be the CVZ build, I think, and I'm going to try just using it or a variation of it against Protoss as well. And then the Terran thing is still working pretty decently. It's just make the banelings and blow up the door. Certainly, if it gets scouted, we'll have to deal with something else. But I think that if the build works when it works, then I'll probably still win more than 50% of games, because statistically speaking, there's more than one build that can, or more than two builds they can do. So there's more than a 50% chance that it will not be the one that counters it. I don't even know what that is. Anyway, I think just focusing on getting that right is going to work pretty well for me. Actually, with that in mind, really with any build, if it's really good and really efficient, you would probably win more than 50% of games just out of a random selection of games. Because if it hits early enough, it would demand a specific response, which was my whole reason for doing this, because when it happened to me, I needed a specific response that I didn't have. Yeah. Whew. I gotta say, I feel a little less on point than I normally would at this time of the day. Like yesterday, I just had like a little win streak going into it. Makes you feel pretty chill. But the game, man, it just gets like all in your head. It's like, I feel like my brain is like a Zerg building when it's like building or upgrading. When it's upgrading, right, the layer is upgrading. It just gets consumed with these things and throbbing. Like, that's the game on my brain right now. And everything else is just like, whew. Okay, so that's gonna have to be it for now. Yeah, this is a good day. This is not like a fun experience for my ego. It was a pretty fun experience to play, but it was a very, very valuable game. I think this is one of those games that I think I'm going to remember, because it was a good little volley, and it was very clear points of improvement. And general points of improvement. You know, it's not. This was a general loss, and that gives me a lot of opportunity to tighten up a lot of different things. Okay, so with that, we will call it. Thank you very much for stopping by, and have a wonderful day. See ya.